Finally, the Before the Score podcast has come back to the Before the Score studio in Zonak's basement. We bring to you episode number 27.
Episode 27 of the Before the Score podcast. I'm Steve Samra. Thank you to Pablo Hernandez for that raucous introduction. Dan DeLucia, Andrew Morgan to my right. We have a lot to talk about today, but the most breaking news was Jamal Adams informed the Jets he would like to be traded. Andrew Morgan, let's hear your thoughts on this one.
I want to first thank you, Jamal, for waiting until we got in studio to have this, prima donna situation happen. So you look at Jamal Adams. I was one of my favorite players in the past couple years. He's been their best player in the past 3 years. I saw him get drafted live. He's been nothing but a perfect teammate, perfect player for the first 2 years of his career. And then last year, you saw at the trade deadline, he started acting like a little different, like he wanted to be traded. There was the whole Cowboys rumors. So ever since then, it really hasn't been right with the Jets. But Joe Douglas, the Jets GM, has said multiple times that he wants Jamal to be a Jet for life. He'll get paid eventually, but he's a safety with 2 more years on his contract plus a franchise tag. Nobody besides Ezekiel Elliott gets their money that quick. No safety, especially, is getting their money that quick. So you see a guy do a complete 180 in their character and go from this high character, outstanding all-pro player to someone with Twitter fingers who's a fucking phony. It's just like, it's something that doesn't happen that quickly. So I think this is something that's been brewing for a while. But he just requesting a trade out of nowhere when it's almost July, it just doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, you look at the scope of this. 2 years on a contract, that says a lot. Like, you always thought Jamal, like, when he talked about the Jets, he was the face of the Jets. He wanted to rebuild this culture. He wanted to, be a part of something big and flip the tides to the narrative of the Jets lately. And now, you see all this. I get there was rumors before, but, it just takes me by surprise when I see this. You see Tom Brady leave the Patriots. You see the Patriots are a good organization still, but who says they're front runners in the division this year? The AFC East is completely up for grabs. So now's the time for the Jets to step up and actually become a winning team and can win the division. And you look at the Jets' pieces in place, it looks like a really good young team for years to come where they could really be a powerhouse in this division. And now Jamal wants to say, it has to be a money thing that he hasn't been the highest paid safety and making records for being the highest paid. Yes, he is the best safety in the league. I think that's hands down, no question about it. But with 2 years still on your contract, I think you just got to wait 1 more year to get paid.
It's a money thing and it's an ego thing. Jamal Adams wants to be the highest paid safety in the league, and he said multiple times he wants to be the highest paid player on the Jets. But Jamal, safeties don't win championships. A safety should never, ever, ever be the highest paid player on your franchise team. I get Jamal as a franchise cornerstone. He's a fantastic player. He may be the best safety in the entire league. But still, if your safety is your highest paid player on your team, you are not going to win a Super Bowl. It's like having the highest paid wide receiver on your team and winning a Super Bowl. It just doesn't happen. That's why when the Giants traded Odell Beckham Jr. last year, things may be working out a little more than I thought they would, but Jamal Adams, the Jets may actually be better off in the long run trading him if they can get 2 first-round picks for safety or something like that. Pablo Hernandez, I know you're the doctor around here. Is Jamal showing symptoms of Odell Beckhamitis?
Well, definitely I do think that he is sort of showing symptoms of Odell Beckhamitis. But when you look at a guy like Jamal Adams, and you just envision this guy as one of the cornerstones of the New York Jets. You think of him, you think of Sam Darnold, you think of, these 2 guys leading the forefront for the Jets to eventually make a run at a NFL trophy. But just with this story coming out, bro, the only thing that really gets to me is how entitled Jamal Adams is. And I don't know why he feels that way, and especially as a young player, you sort of have to pay your dues. Not everyone is most people aren't lucky enough to just start in the sport and immediately be, on the best team. That doesn't really happen. So I do think that this guy needs to relax and he needs to sort of let his career play out. But if you're a fan of the Jets, I do not know how you would like a guy like this to stay on the team.
Yeah, Jamal, there's no way he can be welcomed in. Andrew, you were going to say something.
I was going to say prior to today, I was on the pay Jamal his money train. You don't request a trade and get paid your money, so that ship has sailed. But you look at Jamal Adams, and he's not, like, I get the whole safety should never be your highest paid player, but Jamal Adams isn't just a safety. He had 6.5 sacks, and he missed 2 games. He had a pick 6. He had that play against Daniel Jones where he ripped the ball away and scored a touchdown. He's not your average safety. He's not your average breed of player in the NFL. Like, you don't see players like that who can do so many different things. But he's a fucking phony. So no, he's not going to get his money. He's going to get traded to a contender because the Jets, he puts the Jets in a really shitty situation because they're going to, in quotations, compete this year. But now if you're trading your best player on the roster, you're trading your best player on the roster. The division's finally open for the first time in 2 decades. In July, and it's pretty much July, and if they trade him, it's going to be in July. They're not going to get what they would have gotten for him last year at the deadline. They're going to get less than market value. So either they trade him and get less than what he's worth, or they keep him and they have a disgruntled player, and that's a mess for months and months and months.
And who knows if he holds out or something like that.
That's what I'm saying. You can't. It's a lose-lose situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jamal really puts the Jets in a bind today. But who knows if we'll even be playing football in the fall because Dr. Fauci, America's resident doctor, Pablo, I know you might be a little bit better than him though, says the NFL season may be impossible. What's your guys' confidence level in us getting a football season this year?
Well, just first thoughts when you look at the scope of things. Football is obviously the biggest sport. I mean, there's 52-man rosters. There's the amount of equipment trainers. There's coaching staffs, front office people. There is so many people in the world of football where having a closed setting and that many tests and trying to have a season, it's going to be very hard. I mean, you have to look at the NBA, obviously smaller, NHL, obviously smaller, and see how once they start running up and how it goes. You could have these closed training camps. I mean, that should be no problem. You make sure it's fully closed and watch how those other sports progress their seasons and see how it's working and how they're treating with players who somehow get the virus, So, I mean, obviously, I'm optimistic. I've always said I really don't think college football season is going to be possible. I just don't think that's a way with younger kids and having all the traveling and it's different from the pro level to the college level. It's just not as clean as the pro level makes it. So, I mean, if the college football season doesn't happen and they're saying the NFL season is not possible, I don't see that as I see that as a possibility. I should say here.
Well, when you look at a statement like this, you sort of have to, question it. Number one, not only is the NFL season months and months away, you're seeing these other sports like the NBA, like the NHL, and the MLB potentially, we'll get into that later on in the show. These sports should be getting started fairly shortly. So when you look at the NFL is months down the road. So if these sports are going to be going, and hopefully by then all these sports are going to be done, or if not being close to done, you do think that the NFL could sort of make it work, especially when they have all this time to sort of think of new plans, look at the other sports, and kind of be influenced in their decisions as to what to do with their season. So I think the NFL, they are the luckiest of all the major sports because they have time, and they're just going to do it right.
Yeah, the NFL has the most time of any sport. It's for a sport like the NBA, they would have to make decisions on the fly. Same thing, the MLB, they should be ready. They should have had more time, but who knows? The NFL, on the other hand, they have as much time as they need. They need to get this season going on because everybody knows football. That's the great healer in America. That's what everybody wants to see, and that sport runs American sports. So if there's no football, then I think a lot of people are going to lose hope with the whole coronavirus and sports thing.
Yeah, I think Dr. Fauci is really worried about the wrong sport right now. I'm way more confident in an NFL season being played than there is for a Major League Baseball season being played. They have the advantage in waiting until September to start the year. They have the advantage of being the richest corporation in professional sports. They have so many things going in their favor where I get where it's the most contact sport. I get that there's the largest rosters you're going to have, but the NFL is too big to fail in the sense where I don't think they'll let a season not happen. There might be a lot of hurdles that come up if there's a uptick in cases later in the year. No one really knows for sure, but I think it's inevitable that a football season will be played in some way, shape, or form.
One thing that they could do is I read on Twitter that there was a picture floating around
Oh, don't say it.
of the possible helmets that they could wear. Are you telling me you don't like these helmets?
How are these players going to breathe? You see, like, just for example, you see a picture of Linval Joseph on the sidelines with the whole mask, like barely could breathe after he runs 20 yards. You're telling me these giant helmets that are adding more weight and you barely could breathe is going to make it any better? Like,
these helmets look badass, number one. They may not.
stupid.
No, they look nice. They may not function the way that people think they would.
my God.
But we look like a bunch of stormtroopers running down the field.
do.
I'd think a team like the Raiders would look pretty badass with helmets like that. I don't know if it looked great on the Giants, but with the Raiders, the Steelers, all black, dressed up, I think that would look pretty sick.
Well,
Have you seen a picture of them?
I actually haven't seen a picture of them, but
see, I
the
have
thing
one.
with the mask is it's not going to prevent you. It's not going to let's see this.
It's terrible.
I mean, are they going motocross racing? I mean,
These are nice.
They belong in Halo.
No, these are nice.
Okay, so the whole thing with
I'm
the
a
mask
fan.
is, right, if you don't have the virus, like let's say they're doing testing on the regular, these masks sort of do nothing and they're sort of just in the way. That's just my opinion. Now, I do think in a few months, and I hope and I pray that all this will sort of be better. And now you look at the country little by little. I mean, even New York a few months ago was the epicenter. It was frontline for where this whole virus was taking over the entire world, and it started. Not that it started, it was really big in New York, and now you're looking at, within the next few days they're going to be opening up. They're going to the phase 2, and now you're seeing that in places like Florida, their cases are going up and up. So, to me, there's a sense of hope, but then at the end of the day, there's also a sense of doubt because I feel like we're going up only to go down because the more and more that you open up these states, the less people are going to take precautions.
Well, everyone's going to disagree on how to open up something and the time of which it takes to open up something. Look, there's only one thing that's possible here. It's just the cure. Like, eventually, the cure is eventually going to happen. But for the time being, like, you're going to see spikes in all different areas, and it's just going to happen. There's no one way to control this. It's a virus. It's an airborne virus. You can't see it. There's no way to control it, So it's cure or nothing at this point. Like,
Yeah, in the NFL, if it was up to Roger Goodell, he would make a cure himself.
yeah.
But we all know that doesn't happen that way. Next, we have a question from Sarah DeLucia, who says, who should be signed first, Colin Kaepernick or Cam Newton?
Well, I think it's Cam Newton just because I think he's the more talented player. You look at Colin Kaepernick, he was good enough when he was in the league to deserve a spot on a roster right now, but I think Cam Newton is way closer to his prime and his peak level of play, and both at their prime, I think Cam Newton's still a better player, and Cam doesn't have the baggage that would come along with Colin Kaepernick, so I think it's just weird timing for Cam to be a free agent, and that's why he's not signed now. I think he'll eventually get signed. I don't know if Kaepernick will eventually get signed.
As weirdly as this sounds, I think there's a bigger market for Colin Kaepernick than there is for Cam Newton. And when I say this, meaning that Kaepernick's filling up a backup void, I think, on most, like, as you don't know what you're going to get. He had 2 great years, and then after that, all the stuff happened. He hasn't played football for 3-4 years. So if he gets a workout, we got to see, first of all, when that's going to happen, when these teams are going to be eligible to have workouts and workout free agents. And then Cam Newton, as long as he passes a medical whenever they can have that, I mean, we know what we're getting from Cam Newton. So I could say the market's bigger for Kaepernick, but I see Newton getting signed first.
The problem with both these guys is they're both asking for too much money.
Yeah.
There's nobody, not one 32 teams in this league looking for a starting quarterback right now, and they want starting quarterback money, and it's just not going to happen. They're not going to get the money that they want. Who should get signed first? Andrew, you're right. Cam Newton should get signed first. My prediction, though, is Kaepernick will get signed first, just because I think that now NFL teams, all they care about is PR, and Kaepernick has a better PR move, and he's also going to be a backup, like Dan said. That's why I believe that the market is a little bigger, and I do think the Chargers would be a great fit for him, because the Chargers have kind of an undetermined, of all the 32 situations in the NFL, because it looks like the Patriots are sticking with Jarrett Stidham, the Chargers have the most undetermined quarterback situation with Tyrod Taylor currently in place, the starter. I wouldn't be shocked if they brought in Colin Kaepernick to bring some attention to them in their new stadium as they move to LA. Well, they're already in LA,
But
but they
you
moved
look-
to the new stadium.
Yeah, but you look at a guy kind of similar here, and you have Cam Newton, and then you have Jameis Winston. Now, Jameis Winston goes to the Saints on a backup deal, and he's making $1 million. That's all it is on a one-year deal. There's no way in hell Cam Newton's taking a $1 million deal to play for 1 year. I just don't see that as a possibility at all.
It's an ego thing because they're both. You can make the argument that Jameis Winston brings more to the NFL right now than Cam Newton does.
Yeah.
Because he put up 5,000 yards, whatever he did last year. He put up crazy numbers. But he swallowed his pride, and he's not demanding starter money because he knows that he wasn't good enough to demand starting money in that market. So he found a job where he can easily get some playing time eventually because Drew Brees has missed time recently. And just, set himself up for his next contract, not the one right in front of him.
Yeah, and learning from a guy like Drew Brees. And you look at Drew Brees' backup, Teddy Bridgewater, now, who is the starting quarterback of an NFL team. So Jameis Winston can easily go down that route and eventually find a team. And Cam Newton, if he does the same thing, I think it'll lead the same thing that happened with Teddy.
But I just can't see Cam Newton doing that. And that's why I think even Cam Newton might be out the entire year unless some team has an injury at quarterback and takes a chance on him. But it would not surprise me if Cam Newton does not even play in the NFL this year if that's the money he's looking for.
Well, to me, I think this is a supply and demand thing. If Cam Newton is just going to sit around and wait for the perfect deal, he's probably going to go jobless. But let's say, if a quarterback goes down or if a backup quarterback goes down, they're going to want this guy on their team. And I just think it's a what have you done for me lately? And Cam Newton, although he hasn't been, he hasn't been that flashy player that we saw a few years ago.
He hasn't been Superman lately.
He hasn't been, and he hasn't been that player that he was that took his team to the Super Bowl years back. Yeah. And Colin Kaepernick, I said this last week, and I'm not going to go over it again. This guy hasn't played in 3 years. This guy, you might say it's a PR move. It's good. It's good for the organization. But in my view, I think this is a bad move for the organization. This guy is just going to bring. He's just going to bring trouble and a lot of drama to the team, and that's not something that, if I am an owner of an organization, that's not something I want.
Yeah, we'll see which one gets signed first, but I right now, if I had to put my money on it, I'd put it on Kaepernick. And if you asked me this question last year, I would have said you're crazy. It's Cam Newton. So it's kind of a weird question even being asked. The Rams and the Chargers will be on Hard Knocks this year, double teams, LA. If Colin Kaepernick goes to the Chargers, that'll be a hell of a series. Are you guys excited about this choice?
Well, it's going to be, like I said, I've been saying all along, it's going to be very interesting to see, like, with these closed-door settings, how Hard Knocks is going to work, So, but, I mean, you look at the Rams, you look at the Chargers, two contenders. They can obviously make runs, playoff caliber teams. Two teams is a little weird. I mean, obviously, they're going to be at the same, the facility, I guess. I mean, they have the same stadium, I assume. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Jets and Giants don't share facilities. I don't know why they would do. Are they at the same facility?
Not practice facility.
Yeah,
but
so
it's weird.
So then it's weird to have two different teams, but I mean, I'll take it because it's two good teams and there's a lot of personalities on both sides of those teams.
In my opinion, Hard Knocks the past couple of years, it hasn't been bad, but it's been getting pretty stale. It's been kind of the same behind the scenes drama and training camp where I think adding a second team and getting that kind of perspective kind of helps them in a sense, especially since there's not going to be a lot of coverage of leading up to the season, a lot that you usually get from reporters and stuff like that, because there's going to be a lot more limited access. So I think this is a good opportunity for Hard Knocks to kind of refresh their look.
Yeah, the last 2 years of Hard Knocks, last year they had a golden opportunity with Antonio Brown and the Raiders, and they blew it because Antonio Brown didn't want to be recorded at all, because that was the hottest story all summer. And then 2 years ago, you choose the Buccaneers. Meanwhile, this year they're the perfect choice, so you couldn't pick them. So they've kind of shot themselves in the foot there with the Buccaneers, because that season was it wasn't the best season.
It was the Browns, then before that was the Bucs, I think.
It was
the Browns was because it was Baker's rookie year, so then it was the Raiders after that.
Well, the Buccaneers year was rough, and they screwed themselves out of getting Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski on Hard Knocks.
I mean, I like the Browns season. I feel like there was a lot of hope going into that season. It made it very interesting. I mean, it was a team that you jumped on their bandwagon with. I mean, the Raiders even too last year. It was a good season, but there wasn't that much personality into it because AB wasn't on the screen half. for the entire time.
Well, even the Brown season, it focused a lot on their fourth string quarterback. I don't even remember the guy's name.
I could think of it.
It was something crazy, I remember. But
he went to Eastern Michigan. He
Yeah.
beat Rutgers, I remember. At Rutgers, I think he beat him.
But they focused a lot on that guy, and now they had the quarterback RV and stuff. So that was cool getting to see.
Brody or something like that?
Yeah, it was. I don't remember. Brody Rogback or something.
Yeah.
It was Brogan Roback or
Yeah.
something. It was a rough name. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. But also with the Raiders, I would have loved to see them how they're adjusting to Las Vegas and stuff this year.
Yeah.
So maybe if Hard Knocks has switched around their choices every now and then, but they're missing out on some good storylines. What about you, Pablo? You excited about Hard Knocks? Have you ever watched Hard Knocks?
I've actually never watched Hard Knocks, and it's always brought up to my attention that you should go watch Hard Knocks. I remember a few years ago. I'm not sure. Was it the first one? What was the first one? The Jets one?
It was the Jets.
Jets was a while.
Yeah, that was 09 with Rex Ryan's.
That was
first
arguably
year.
the best year, though. Of
Yes.
Hard
Oh yeah,
Knocks.
no, it was.
So I remember when the Jets one came out, everyone was like, "Oh my God, this show is amazing," and I'm not gonna lie, I've never tuned into it, but I hear good things.
Yeah, I remember last year I was trying to watch Hard Knocks, trying to watch the Antonio Brown drama. In the middle of watching the Mets game, though, so I'm like, I'll turn it off. We're winning 6-1. In the middle of Hard Knocks, I get messages, and of course the Mets blew it. It was the game. Kurt Suzuki hit a walk-off third homer. So
That's my boy, by the way.
Kurt Suzuki ruined Hard Knocks for me last year, but the XFL, there's strong indications that they'll return in the next 2 years. Pablo, how excited are you for the XFL to come back?
Well, I'm super excited for this. It was short-lived. I mean, what was it? 6 weeks?
I think it was less than that. Even.
Less than that, but it was exciting, man. And I still have my XFL hat at home. I'm a huge Guardians fan. I have been since day one.
Day two.
Day one. You can go back and watch footage. Okay. Zonak, make sure you get rid of all this stuff, all right? But other than that, I do think that the XFL is awesome. And I think that the XFL is going to be very successful. And I do think that the XFL hasn't done anything yet in terms of like a lot of these young players, a lot of these players who want to be discovered by the NFL to give them kind of a second chance. I think that's what it was going to eventually become. So it's probably not going to be in 2 years, but I do think somewhere down the line it's going to be somewhere where you can find young talent.
Well, you look at a lot of these sports, and the NFL, it doesn't have a minor league system, right? The XFL doesn't want to be that minor league system, but what they should be doing is focusing on getting high school players to sign with the XFL, to give them money. You look at these college recruits in basketball, they're going pro now. There's I think in the top 40 of this year coming, there was 8 guys going pro. It never happens like that. So if they could go pro and play a few years in the whatever G League or whatever it's called now and get paid for it, these they should be trying to attract high school kids with the XFL, and that will bring better competition because you're getting these 4-star, 5-star recruits that are really good, that are from a shitty situation, but if they get paid, they could get out of that situation and become an NFL player. So I think the XFL has to kind of switch their marketing a little bit too with how they go with that. But other than that, the XFL was fun. It's just like a minor league football thing. They have to get these bigger stars in, and I think it could be very successful.
Yeah, I hope the XFL comes back. I mean, we had some good times at those games, and I was getting excited. We were going to have our tailgate, so in a year or so, 2 years, hopefully they'll be back. An interesting thing about the XFL I read, and Andrew, this will make you happy, is that 1/3 of all their ticket revenue, money that they made, was made by the St. Louis Battlehawks.
They went crazy in St. Louis for their Battlehawks because they weren't a great football city when they had the Rams there. The Rams weren't really good towards the latter half of their tenure in St. Louis, but St. Louis fans, they're not the largest group, but they're passionate. So if they get something that they're really invested in, they'll show out. You look at the Blues and stuff like that. The Cardinals have a cult fan base. St. Louis, they'll show out. So I mean, the XFL can succeed in the right situation if they just pull the right strings and they just go about it the right way.
Let's move on and talk about the NBA, and they just announced their Orlando campus full of hotel amenities with a players-only lounge, NBA 2K, the pool, barbershops, manicures, pedicures, 20-hour VIP. Concierge, I'm getting winded just reading it out loud. Daily entertainment, free movies are seeing Black Widow earlier than anybody is available to. DJ sets, video games, ping pong, pool, lawn games. Players can go see other games for free. How much would you pay for an experience like this?
Wow.
This is an insane experience. I understand like the whole like Kyrie's obviously trying to focus on like more social issues and everything like that, and I get that. But just to not want to go to this is insane. Like, this is the best vacation of your life, and you're getting paid, you know? Like, obviously you got to play some basketball on the side, but this is an amazing opportunity. Like, if they should be given, like, you know how they've been doing those all-in challenges, they should be giving people all-in challenges, test them for corona, make sure they're good, and then send them there and have fun with the players. I think that's an awesome opportunity.
Yeah, I can't believe players are even thinking about not going to Orlando.
Yeah.
I would be on the first plane there.
Yeah.
I'll walk to Orlando for this. That's an amazing experience there, and it's 3 months of being waited on hand and foot. I mean, I get these players come from lavish lifestyles, but man, this sounds like heaven for a basketball fan.
It sounds like fun. It sounds like a summer camp. It sounds like our senior trip. That's almost what it sounds like. Just hanging around your buddies, doing, playing the game that you love and being paid for it. That's the most important part. Also, I love what the NBA is doing here, and the other sports, especially Major League Baseball. Once this deal does come together, they need to do something like this.
Well, you need to do everything you can to get the players kind of stay in the same bubble. So if you can make incentives for them to like have everything on a silver platter for them and their own little concentrated bubble, that's gonna like help them like contain whatever possible spreads they would have. So if they're on that, they're testing everyone every day. They're making sure that they're not in contact with the wrong people and staying where they can like be like not monitored, but like make sure they're doing the right thing. That I think they'll be successful. I think a lot of leagues should follow that model.
And this goes to show that just the NBA is easily the best major sport run. Like, it's not even close. You look at the last two commissioners, it's just, the NBA is just so well run.
And my favorite thing that they're doing is how the NBA teams have been placed in Disney hotels based on their seating. So the lower teams, they're stuck at the yacht club. They're down in the dumps. I'm
like
sure the yacht
All-Star
club's
Sports.
nice, but down at the yacht club is where all the trash is being taken out. Up at the Grand Floridian,
Yeah.
now that's a nice hotel, but that's an
beautiful.
old hotel.
It's beautiful, though.
But the Grand Destino, that is where it's at. That's where the A-listers are going to be hanging out with the NBA season. Do you feel disrespected if you got sent to the yacht club?
Well, I talked about this earlier, but it's about paying your dues. And if you're a crap team, you swim with the fishes. That's just how it has to go. But I love this. I really love it. Now, what's to say that this whole virus thing, I brought it up earlier. This is, 3,000 cases overnight last night was reported in Florida. What's to say that doesn't happen while the season is going on?
Well, making sure it's a bubble. I mean, it doesn't matter what's going on the outside as long as no one from the outside is going to the inside.
Yeah, but it's a bubble, but it's not like these guys are, on another planet. It's not impossible for one guy to get it, and then it just spreads throughout.
Well,
the
that's
whole
why
entire
there's going to be
campus.
testing's going to be
Daily
almost every
testing,
day. Yeah. So they're making sure it's concentrated, and it's practically they're going to be on another planet. Like it's literally they're going to make sure no one's in and out.
Do you think that a camera crew should be, obviously aside from the games, do you think it should be available so we could get like some type of documentary?
I think that would be awesome if they had an ESPN 30 for
Yes.
30 Last Dance style crew hanging at the yacht club the whole time by the pool with Zion and everybody, while over at the Grand Destino is LeBron's chilling, waiting on hand and foot, getting grapes fed to him or something, and Zion's over in some pool that's faded brown or something disgusting because he's at the yacht club. I think that could be a really good story. 8 seed, 1 seed. Yacht Club versus Destino. That's a first. I never thought I'd hear that this year. A question from PK Patel. Dan, you kind of touched on it before. He wanted to know our thoughts on Kyrie Irving's ideas. So let's talk about his idea for a players-only league.
Well, I mean, you could do it, but I think that's very hard to do. I mean, like, anyone could go to any court and film it and have people watch. Of course, people are going to watch it. But, like, let's look at the grand scope of things, getting sponsorship deals. And you look at the XFL, they just failed. I mean, if Corona didn't happen, maybe they don't fail. But it's very hard to start a new league right now. There's so much competition. I mean, maybe in the summer you could have some pickup games in the summer and fill them. I think that'd be pretty cool. But like a whole league, I just don't see that being possible.
Yeah, these guys are millionaires. They have a lot of money, but it takes billionaires to start a league. There are guys who are going to want to be paid. The big three is lucky they have some investors, but you can't have a whole nother league. It's a good idea, but I just can't ever see this coming to fruition.
No, it's not going to work. And it's not going to work because, you have the one major sport. There's not going to be an alternative to the NBA. There's never going to be an alternative to the NFL or an alternative to the MLB that will ever stack up to those companies. It's never going to happen.
No.
Pablo, do you where does Kyrie Irving fall on the Odell Beckhamitis scale?
He's borderline. And the reason why he's borderline is because he talks a lot of smack. But to me, he just hasn't bothered me enough. But I don't know, man. Uncle Drew, one day.
Kyrie Irving was actually in our bracket. I don't know how far he made. I think he made it to the Elite Eight, actually.
Yeah.
But he didn't win it.
He didn't win it.
He didn't win
Antonio Brown won it with flying colors. So
I think we should have another King of the Ring style tournament to crown a new Odell Beckhamitis.
I mean, I think it's a little too early to crown another one 2 months after the first one.
I think if Kyrie Irving never stepped from his flat Earth theory, I think he would have been in the running in the Final Four.
That's a stupid statement.
But I don't know. I think there was someone put on Twitter that was like, if you put his mind into a bird, it would fly backwards or something.
I just think the guy's bored.
Yeah,
I just think the guy's bored being in Brooklyn. I mean, the season barely got underway. His buddy, his little lapdog, Kevin Durant, never really, he didn't play at all. And he's injured and he got the virus. I don't know, man. It's just this guy. He's going through it mentally.
Yeah, looking at our bracket here, the Odell Beckhamitis bracket, Kyrie Irving defeated Kevin Durant in the first round.
Interesting.
Matched up against Dwight Howard, who ironically is on his side with this whole players only thing, and he beat him. And then he got washed by our runner-up LeVar Ball in the finals of the basketball bracket.
That makes sense.
Pablo, you couldn't even make it out of the first round though. You lost to Kanye West. So
Let's see.
That's a good
in
loss.
the first round. Kanye made the.
You kind of look like
Kanye made the
West,
Final
actually.
Four, but
Hey, you know what? To be the best, you have to be beat by the best. So.
Doesn't he kind of look like Kanye West?
I can see it.
Yeah.
You need those glasses.
Yeah.
Shocker of the tournament, Larry David made the Elite Eight.
Larry David's a funny guy. I don't think he's got one.
I think he's got like a Midas. I was surprised he made the Elite Eight. Let's talk hockey real quick. The only news I got, hockey's been on a hot streak. They've had some good news coming out of that league. But some bad news happened when the Seattle hockey team's name was delayed until the fall. I'm just excited to figure out what this team's going to be called, so I want to hear your predictions on what they should be called.
Well, I thought it was going to be like the Kraken or something, so that would be my prediction.
That's your prediction, the Kraken?
They said something. I think it must have been a fake
Totems
league.
or like the Kraken. It was something goofy like that.
I'll tell you the one I like that I saw, the Sockeyes. The Seattle Sockeyes.
I did see that, yeah.
Now that would be cool, like the fish. I think it's a fish.
Well, it has to be something definitely fish theme. I mean, you have the Mariners, you have the. I'm not really sure where the Sonic come from, but the Seattle Sonic did sound awesome.
I think you know what you should do. You should move the old franchise of the Whalers and call them the Seattle Whalers.
No,
I think that would be pretty cool.
That doesn't roll off the tongue.
It doesn't need to roll off the tongue.
It doesn't. It's something that has to starts with an S.
It doesn't have to be.
I think it would just sound better.
The Seahawks. That's a good one, right?
Ooh,
I
they
mean,
could do the Seahawks.
No, but I don't know.
Giants and Giants,
maybe
how they meet up.
Seattle. The Seattle. No, they have the Sharks already.
Did you know that, Pablo?
What?
That like the New York Giants and San Francisco Giants, they meet up in Kansas because like the middle of America, so they kind of just meet in the middle and they just kind of chat. Every year.
I didn't know that actually.
The horse from Schenectady.
Schenectady.
All right, let's talk about ESPN ran a story today. 16 years ago, Dodgeball was released to movie theaters. Is that the best sports comedy of all time?
I thought we had this question about sports comedies.
Stupid
and
question
stuff.
is that?
Comedies?
What
are you talking?
Pablo's more of a bench
What's your
warmers guy.
favorite sports comedy of all time? That was such a horrible question.
Dodgeball. Are you kidding me?
What is? What are you asking? What
You gotta say something else. Dodgeball's hilarious.
Name one other sports comedy.
There's just billions.
One.
I can't even.
Name one.
I can't even
Name
think off the
one.
top of my. I mean, you guys know I love the Sandlot.
Name. That's That's not.
That's not a comedy.
Comedy
It's not
though.
a comedy.
All right, okay, comedy. I like the Benchwarmers more than Dodgeball.
I said that. You
I
can't
do.
use
said
that.
You
I
stole it.
do. I do. I like Fever Pitch more than Dodgeball.
Okay, non-baseball comedy. sports
Non-baseball
movie.
comedies.
Basketball.
Basketball's a stupid movie. I'm sure. Come on, guys. You guys put me on the spot here.
Because you acted like this was the worst
Yeah.
thing anybody's ever said.
Steve, you're
on this
way out of
show.
line for saying Dodgeball is the best.
I'm not even saying it's the best. I was asking a question, and you said that's a stupid question.
It's a stupid question.
So I want to hear a better sports comedy that's not baseball related.
All right, I'll tell you what, Steve. This is going to be my homework for next week.
Kicking and screaming.
And dodgeball is better than kicking and screaming.
It is better than kicking.
Happy
and
Gilmore.
screaming. Yes. Come on, bro. look. You've got Happy Gilmore.
Him fighting Bob Barker, hilarious.
Look. You've got Happy Gilmore. You have the Water Boy.
Okay,
You're
non-baseball
going-
Adam Sandler.
Come on.
All right.
Come on.
All right, game on the line. Which character would you choose to help you win from that movie? A game of dodgeball, 2-on-2.
You remember the cast?
I mean, I remember the cast, but
Name-
I would
name
probably
one-
have to
name
go
one
with
actor.
with the Ben Stiller character. I can't think of the name right now.
Walt Goldman.
There you go, right
I think
there.
that was his name, right?
You know, I've never seen Dodgeball.
What?
I've
Never seen it?
What?
This is when you
Wow.
go, yeah.
you
Wow, you've never
kidding?
seen
Wow.
Dodgeball?
That's why when I said Benchwarmers, you didn't say, "Oh, really? That's a stupid answer." That's why, because he
And
never
name
saw
more than
Dodgeball.
two.
Listen, everybody's seen dodgeball. That's just a shocker that
Yeah.
he's never seen
The dodgeball is.
You can dodge a ball, you can dodge a hammer.
Nope.
It's a wrench.
It's a wrench.
man.
No,
Oh
it's if
my
you could
God.
dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
And why would you pick Ben
Well, I know
Stiller's
there's a line
character?
for
Ben
that.
Yeah,
Stiller's
Ben
character was
Stiller's-
horrible at
yeah.
dodgeball.
Yeah, but he was very intimidating.
There we go.
You should have picked anybody else on his team was better than him.
I like him.
You got to pick.
I like Ben
You got to
Stiller.
pick the chick on the team. I forget her name, but on
Oh yeah, she was OP.
Average Joe's.
Yeah, she was OP.
She was the best player.
The
on
worst
team.
one was
It wasn't close.
the pirate guy.
Steve the Pirate.
Steve the pirate
Yep.
sucked.
Aren't you? Isn't that your nickname?
Him and the
Steve
little loser.
Pirate?
No, it's not.
Don't you like that booty?
Could before the score dodgeball team beat Average Joe's?
At what?
No, because
Dodgeball.
Dodgeball,
you
right?
moron.
some kid in a mustard jersey.
At
would be on
us
our team.
us five, could we beat?
I'm gonna get Z on our
Average
team
Joe's.
too.
No.
Really?
No, we couldn't.
You don't think we have any shot?
I don't think we have any shot.
Do you know who's on Average Joe's?
I know who's on the Average Joes, and we're not a bunch of average folks.
Who would be the worst at dodgeball here?
Honestly, I would only say Zonak because he never wears shoes, so he would always just be slipping and falling
Do you
everywhere.
think you'd be good at dodgeball?
I think I'd be all right.
I think you'd be the second worst.
Why would I be the second worst?
You-
Who
just
would
slow.
you be better than?
I've seen
us?
that
Us
arm.
No,
three.
but I catch.
But who would
I
you be
catch
better
Who
and
than?
would
throw.
you be, us three. Who would you be better than?
I'm better than Dan. Easy, I'm better than Dan.
You can tackle Derrick Henry too, right?
Wow.
All right, next.
You have to be elusive. You have to be nimble.
I'm
You have
fine.
to be able to
I
excel.
would love to spend one
Look,
second
all right,
in your
I'll
mind.
tell you guys this, right? I used to work in a summer camp, and we used to play dodgeball. I used to nail the hell out of these kids, and it's not because I was big.
First of all, pause. Second of all, why are you
That's-
bragging?
it's not- it's not-
why are you
said
bragging
in the
about?
US.
And it's not because I was bigger than them. It's because I was better than them, and I
You're
am
shit, you're
better
10
than
years
them
old.
at
FBI
dodgeball.
on our podcast. Come on.
Yeah.
Relax, okay? Relax.
Okay. You wouldn't. I think on even Average Joe's, you would be like a bench player.
Why would I be a bench player?
I would take
100%.
Steve the Pirate.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Do you see how hard these balls are coming
Who's
in?
the little nerd in the
You
movie?
try getting in there and
I
catching one
forget
of
his
these
name.
craps.
I want to see
His
you
name
try
really
it,
is
not
Justin
us.
Long
We're not
or
worried about
something.
ourselves. We're worried about you.
I would be fine.
I think you two are the weak links. Producer Zonak and
I would compete.
You're definitely-
maybe Pablo from 3 years ago.
How were you at cone ball?
I was nasty at cone ball.
Nah. I ran cone ball back
Yeah,
in the day.
okay.
I
Dan
did.
was a
I
little-
did.
Dan
I
was a
made
little
both
tryhard.
all-star games in 7th grade and 8th grade.
All-Star games.
First in 7th grade, I hit down all five cones.
Since when was there?
Insane. No
I
one was
don't
talking
remember
about
there
it.
ever being an All-Star game.
Second game, it was the invite-only tournament.
switch the topic
that
now
Steve
before he
was
keeps
pissed
going.
he didn't
He's
get
not gonna
invited
stop.
to.
Okay.
Yeah, someone has to
Let's-
force
I'm telling you,
this.
I ran that
7th
league.
grade horror stories about cone ball. Well, Pablo, that was a really hot take. You saying that you're better than Dan at dodgeball.
That's extremely hot take.
But
Sounds like a poll.
let's talk about baseball real quick. We talked a lot about it last week, but are you more confident we'll have a season this week than you were at this time last week?
Yes. And the Major League Baseball season, although not confirmed, although the Major League Baseball Players Association and the owners are still, going back and forth at it, I do think that a season is going to happen, and I do think that a agreement is going to be in place by this time next week. I think we're going to have all the details going, and I think that we're going to know a lot more about it. And the whole thing about these offers, the owners wanted to do 60 games, and now the players come out, we fought for this. We're not going to go for 60, let's do 70. But at the end of the day, this is all coming down to money. 70 games, they're going to be getting paid a lot more money than 60 games. Now, it's not going to be very substantial, but it's still going to be something. Also, from a fan's perspective, would you rather see 70 games or 60 games? And the easy answer is going to be 70 games, bro. 60 games, I stated this last week, 60 games is very, very scary. 10 games?
That 10 games, I mean, it's
going to
a
do
difference.
something.
But I mean, you look at if you're paying attention to it, what the MLB and the Players Association, both of their last proposals have three things in common: universal DH, expanded playoffs, and full prorated pay.
That's it.
So
right
they're going to get their full prorated pay. So the players are going to be happy with that, but they just want more money. They want that whole yearly salary to be more because they have the 10 extra games. So I think they'll find the middle ground between 60 and 70 games because that's the only thing that they're held up with right now. So I think that's something that's very minuscule that you can kind of work out. As long as everyone's on the same page with the rest of it, I think it will be fine.
They should have done 81. I don't see why that's not
too
a bad
late for
number.
81.
I know it is too late,
They
but
did it 2 months ago.
yeah,
81.
they should have done 81. I think that would have been the best option.
But now the reports are saying the players, after proposing the 70-game season, the owners are pissed and the deal was dead on arrival and they're not going to accept
Yeah,
it.
they said that last time. They said it was dead last time. And they said they were done negotiating, and then 3 days later they're back.
10 games? Really? 10 games?
It's too-
Owners,
it's too small.
please.
It's too small.
10 games.
Look,
It is millions of dollars,
that's
though.
why it's going to happen because
someone-
it's too close to not happen. I mean, you're just going to say it's like making an offer on eBay. I know it's different. If you have something up there for $100 and I offer you $80, you're gonna say, no, man, I'm not gonna take it. No, you're gonna be like, look, let's meet in the middle. Give me 90. Okay, 90. You know what? It's not what I wanted to pay, but it's fair.
Listen,
that's something that's gonna happen.
I hate defending the owners, but I mean, you look at 10 games for every player in baseball. At the extra 10 games at the prorated pay, that's another $200 million that they're
it's a lot
negotiating.
of
So they're not
money.
just going to hand it to the players and say, fine, let's just get it over with. I'm tired of negotiating. They're going to fight for those millions of dollars.
Now, do you know what a lot of people are, giving the Players Association heat about? The fact that all the players are coming out with the time and place, when and where. I'm ready to play. I'm ready to do this. And then you come out with the...
And they say,
but
they
I
give
want
you
10
what you
more
want
games.
with 60 games.
Bro, if you're ready to play, you take that deal and you run with it and you do not look back because this has been going on way too long. And not only are the owners looking bad, but the players they're looking weak, bro.
Everybody looks bad in this whole situation.
I think
the
both
whole
sides
league.
look really bad right now.
Yep.
And that's disappointing because I do think even if there is, it's going to affect baseball no matter what, and it's going to be just a black eye on this season for a long time.
And there's going to be bad blood with the next CBA negotiations
And that's
because
the
they're
scary
both going to
part,
be pissing
too.
each other. So another lock. Even if we play this year, a lockout could still easily happen next year.
Well, to me, hey guys, I'm not sure if you saw it, and I know we had a question having to go with it, in the questions that we got. If you saw the 30 for 30 on the Mark
Well, here's the
McGwire
question.
and the Sammy Sosa.
PK Patel, should baseball just allow steroids?
No, that's dumb. Anyway, so I'll get into that, PK. I'm sorry. When you look at that, in 1998, baseball had just come off of a strike in the 1994 season, and that strike, it took away a lot of fans. They left the sport. They didn't care for the sport. A lot of purists were done with it. And it took the great home run race of 1998 to kind of bring the sport back. Now, for something like this, I don't really think that if the season, if the season were cut short, let's say the season didn't happen this year, I do think that Major League Baseball would take a huge hit, and I'm not sure what it would take for the sport to recover. But they're just so close to having a deal in place, bro. If it's between 10 games, you accept that, and you try to salvage whatever is left of the season.
And to answer the should baseball just allow roids, ethically, of course, it'll never happen. Unethically, that would make the game a lot more exciting.
I mean, it would make the game a lot more exciting.
If you're going to do that, you can't acknowledge that steroids are a thing and just unban it. If they just kind of turned their eye to it off the rip and just allowed the Barry Bondses and Mark McGwires to just keep using them and not be that strict about it, then baseball would be a lot more popular than it is right now.
Easily, 100%. Another question we got this week was from Dave Stolte, and he's coming at Pablo's neck here because he says, "Does Pablo owe the Astros an apology after the Yankees were exposed as cheaters?"
The Yankees are not cheaters, and I will fully stand behind that. The Yankees might have done whatever was not allowed by Major League Baseball, having the illegal cameras or the illegal devices with the Apple Watch, but they are not cheaters. The Yankees are not cheaters. Every team
to a degree has cheated.
No. I understand, but there's a difference between stealing. There's a difference, bro. There's a difference.
You sound
between,
like a second grader
no,
trying to make an argument.
No,
right?
I'm not trying to make an argument. Because
no one's really that mad at the Yankees.
When you look at Houston, no other team has done that but Houston.
No one knows that.
Bro.
They're the one that got exposed for it. I can guarantee you that there's teams that have done almost as bad as the Astros have done, just in their own different ways.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Yankees are not.
Every team in professional sports finds the upper hand, legal or
Bro,
delusional.
Look, the Yankees were touched by the hand of God.
Look,
and they're just,
they would never.
Let me tell you guys something. I'm not saying they would never. I'm just saying
You literally just said they would never.
Look. Okay.
They are not cheaters.
Look. Okay. All the players killed and crucified the Astros players, the organization, ownership, everything for what they did. Now, let's just say that this came out about the New York Yankees. How bad would the Yankees look knowing that they just ripped the whole entire organization for something that they were doing? I just don't think that is something they would do.
But that's not something. But if it happened 3 years ago, that's not in their mind at all.
So
if they were cheating and exposed for something they did 3 years ago, it's out of their control.
You're telling me if every other team is coming out and saying all these things and the Yankees are just somehow quiet about it, it doesn't look suspicious? No. Obviously, you got to do the same thing. So that's not really an argument I could take.
Bro, just
oh, well, they ripped the Astros so much where they couldn't have cheated.
Just from the reactions.
That's what it is.
A guy like CeCe was pissed off because, this was potentially going to be his last and final run. And he
had to be pissed off.
I understand, but there's no way that they cheated, especially to the lengths and.
I'm not saying they did exactly what the Astros did, but they, in some way, shape, or form, cheated.
Yes.
All right. All I have to say is find the proof, find the evidence.
That's why the Yankees are not going to have any trouble on them. But I mean, nobody's clean. The Yankees might not get anything handed down on them. They might not get exposed, but they did cheat in some way.
It's tough for Pablo to accept. I don't see that.
I'm not. No one's really. No, there's not gonna be outcry against the Yankees. But you can't. I never understood why there's. I get why everyone was so mad at the Astros. Not to a certain extent, where it's all right, they got exposed.
They ruined the integrity of the game. Whatever they did is worse than the whole steroid.
They lost a lot, but they just got exposed more than anyone else ever did.
Bobby Krepik, our final question. He wants to know if double-doubles and triple-doubles are an overrated stat.
Well, at first when Russell Westbrook was doing all these triple-doubles, and it was unprecedented, and it still is, kind of. And he averaged a triple-double for 2 straight seasons, or maybe even 3, I don't remember. But it's an incredible feat to accomplish. But when you look at, the game of basketball, wins are the most important thing. So if you're doing enough to make your team win, that's more important than these double-doubles, triple-doubles.
Mm-hmm. And I think some players will specifically try to just pad their stats for these double-doubles and triple-doubles. Westbrook that year, of course, did bring his team to the playoffs really single-handedly because that team is not a good team.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But I do think that sometimes you can put too much weight onto how important double-doubles and triple-doubles are. But I wouldn't go as far to say they're overrated as a stat. But they're definitely not the be-all, end-all stat for basketball players.
You look at LeBron, he averages 27, 7, 6, I think, through his career. So, if you're averaging that and you're one of the greatest basketball players of all time, obviously it doesn't really matter that much.
I would have to agree. And that's our last question. So that's all we have for episode 27 of the Before the Score podcast. Thanks for joining us. We're back in studio this week and hopefully from now on. Mock Gaming, Matt the Sniper, Villain Media, Before the Score, episode 27. Thanks for joining us.